So let's we can kind of go ahead and start to get rolling on the kind of the introductions on the topic here. So welcome everybody to a to another digital event run by RevOps Co-op and our partners over at DealHub. So today we are going to be talking about agile approaches to deal and agreement adaptation. A lot of words in there. We'll get into some specifics. We've got some kind of first class gifts to share with you as well. But as I'm kind of pulling that up, let me first do a quick introduction on myself and then introduce the panelists. So I am Matt Volm, CEO, co-founder of RevOps Co-op. We got a community of 12,000 plus people in RevOps from all over the globe, host a whole slew of digital events like this. And in addition, we are also hosting RevOps AF, our first in-person conference, which is going to be at the end of May in sunny San Diego. And I know Mark and the DealHub crew are going to be there along with 250 plus of our other RevOps friends. So I'll make sure we drop the link to that event in here as well, along with a little discount code that y'all can use to snag your ticket if you haven't already. I do want to add one additional thing. So we obviously got tons of great content and sessions lined up for this conference, but we are also, I'll say, like priding ourselves on some of the unique networking events that we have, because as you all know, we do not do anything traditional here. So one of them, these networking experiences that you'll be able to participate in, is this Tacos, Tequila, and Tombstones tour, which is literally a taco and tequila tasting along with a ghost tour of Old Town San Diego. And so there's like 3 other events that we're doing as well, where you can, again, experience all that San Diego has to offer, make some new RevOps friends, meet with some old folks. And I'll leave it at that. We'll throw more information in the chat on that, because we're not here to talk about that today. So first, let me kind of go around the horn and introduce the panelists that we have. So first off, we got Mark Lerner, who is a director of growth marketing over at DealHub. DealHub is an official partner of RevOps Co-op, like I mentioned. So Mark, why don't you, one, give us a lowdown on you professionally, add anything to the introduction that I missed, and then as always, drop one fun, interesting, non-RevOps, non-work related fact on the audience as well.
Okay, well, so as Matt said, my name is Mark Lerner. I'm the director of growth marketing at DealHub. DealHub is a agile, flexible CPQ solution. All the power that's needed for the most complex use cases, along with the flexibility and agility that today's go-to-market teams need. We have wonderful customers, including Clumio, and I'm really excited to have Adam here as well. So interesting factoid. Yeah, I experienced my first earthquake last week here in New York. Never had that sensation before. I think I assumed it was a very low-flying airplane for a while. And then yesterday we had a solar eclipse. So it's, I think, just waiting for the tornado to come, and then we'll have like or the rest of the 10 plagues, to hit us. But yeah, really excited for today's topic.
So I wonder, David Hogan on our team can answer this question, if Jupiter is in retrograde, because he always attributes crazy things like that to planetary things not being in alignment. So my follow-up question is, one, how long did the earthquake last? Like, how long did you feel that quote unquote low flying airplane for?
It was probably like 20 seconds, which is why I was like, this is a little bit different. And then there was a aftershock I felt a few hours later that, rumbled. But, I'm born and raised in New York, never lived in a place with earthquakes. And so I work in the basement in our house. My wife works all the way on the top floor. And I was in the middle of texting her being like, what the hell was that? And she wrote back, earthquake, 3 question marks, because she's from California. So she knew what that was. Had she not told me that, it wouldn't have even crossed my mind that was a possibility. It just it wasn't even one of the options. So I know that the folks on the West Coast are chucking it up us New Yorkers. But it was interesting. Definitely an interesting day.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we've got so Mark has experienced this first earthquake. David on our team has confirmed Jupiter is in fact in retrograde. So we do have some crazy stuff happening. And then in addition to Mark, we've got Adam Ruscio, who is the field CTO over at Clumio. So Adam, add anything to the professional introduction as well, and then you got a one-up Mark on the earthquake experience with a fun,
You
interesting
kind of stole
personal
mine.
fact.
I'm also in New York. I actually landed in LaGuardia as the aftershock hit.
Oh, that's fun.
Didn't notice, surprisingly. But yeah, I'm Adam Ruscio. I'm our field CTO here at Clumio. Clumio, for those who haven't heard of us, we're hypergrowth startup at this point. Sutter Hill Ventures backed. We did 4x year over year growth last year. But as a field CTO, typically, I'm assuming you don't have a lot of field CTOs on RevOps panels. But one of my goals in being part of all things technology really aligned to our field and our sellers. So that also includes a lot of the internal tools and technologies and processes we use, as well as the technology that our customers use to consume our overall business and everything else that we do as well. So definitely very passionate about RevOps in general. So excited to be here today. As far as interesting facts about me, let me blur my background. This thing over here, this picture over here, I drew that. That's pastels. I actually won first place at the New York State Fair many a years ago.
That's awesome.
Bonus points if anybody can guess who the artist is. That is a famous musician. If nobody can guess, I'll give that away at the end.
I can't. There you go. My
Yeah.
guess would be Mark. Mark, if anyone on this call, I feel like Mark would be the one to.
Yeah, I
to know
can't
these
see
things.
it. It's too small. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
yeah.
Well, thank you guys for so we've got we call it some earthquake survivors, if you will. We've got a pastel artist in the house as well. And then we've got some RevOps expertise kind of sprinkled on top of that. So so again, we're talking about, kind of agility in deal structuring today. And as we get into this, the other thing I want to let everybody know, we got the chat open. We've also got the formal Q&A open. As we are going through this, we're going to be taking questions, feedback, opinions, and taking all that stuff as we go. So please drop your questions, drop your thoughts, drop your feedback in the chat or the Q&A as we go along. And then Mark, I'll kind of turn it over to you on this one to talk a little bit about this whole notion of agility and agreement structuring, what we mean and how, kind of agile methodologies play into to all of this.
So I'll mimic Conan here, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So so one of the things that I think most of us have probably observed, but that has really struck out to me, and I think the team internally here at Deal Hub that we've observed, is just how quickly the pace of change has increased over the last, let's say 4 or 5 years, but especially I think that is compounding. And there's been kind of at points there have been companies that have washed out, and a lot of that can be attributed to many factors, but one of them seems to me that there's a certain sense of rigidity where the changing external environment is not being considered or can't be considered in the way companies are doing business, their processes, their strategies, all those things. And so this idea of being agile and that being a prerequisite to succeeding in whatever this new normal is, I think is a theme that kind of comes back again and again, at least in the way I see things. And so that's kind of where the idea came from. And then, I think that Adam has some really interesting first person experience that we're gonna talk about. Clumio did, kind of recently went through a process of reassessing how their those deals are structured and the processes and all those things or those agreements. And so we're going to be able to get some first person experience there as well. But from my perspective, I think that the characteristic of agility organizationally is going to be kind of a pillar that enables companies to kind of survive and succeed, I think, going forward. That that's partially opinion, but based on observation. But I'm interested to see, Adam, you or Matt as well, kind of what your take on that idea is.
Go ahead, Adam. Yeah, sure thing. So yeah, I think it's huge, right? Across the board. I mean, and I talked to people focused on agility across their business on a regular basis, right? So I'm talking to CTOs regularly, DevOps people regularly, and everybody's trying to do more with less constantly, and really trying to get rid of as much low priority activities and automate those away as often as possible. And that's something that really is extending more and more and more across every aspects of every business that I see all over the place. Agreements is another one of those areas too, ripe for just having that whole agile methodology and being nimble and quick across the board.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we, like so we talked a little bit about, again, like, I guess, agility and, kind of what that means. I guess, Mark, as we talk about agreement restructuring, like, what is that? And I don't know if this plays into, kind of our next slide here, but like, what do we mean when we talk about agreement restructuring? Are we talking about existing terms, conditions, like the ways that we make deals and get to agreements? Are we talking about new ways of doing those things? Is it all of the above? Is it a mix of the two? Like, how should people be thinking about that?
Yeah, I think to clarify, it's about rethinking the way your agreements are structured, whatever agreements we're talking about, like this, whatever aspect of the deal, whether it's the quote or an MSA or whatever.
Yeah.
The structure of those, the terms, the pricing, the line items, the all of it. Oftentimes this is one of those things that gets stuck in the rigidity because decisions were made. It would, it's figuratively or not speaking it hard coded in some way, and therefore instead of that reflecting the change around it, you have to kind of make everything fit into that paradigm, even if it's no longer relevant. So that's kind of the broader idea of it. So we talk about being agile in decision making, being agile in the structure of your organization, and then this is being agile in the way your sales agreements are structured. And I think that's the core concept here.
Yeah, makes sense. And again, I think we've all been there where there's a lot of things that require a lot of review, or a lot of people, a lot of different departments to whether it's certain terms, conditions, pricing, right? There's just a lot of stuff that goes into the deal making process and the agreement process. And so from Conan over to Obama, let's talk about okay, like, how do we identify the need for change? When and why a company should consider changing its agreement structures. Like, for folks that are out there today that are like, okay, I get it, like, deal making is hard. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people. So, but how do you identify, again, like, the need for a change? How do you know you have a problem?
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity to tap into Adam's experience a little bit, because I know, when he and I chatted in preparation for this, we kind of talked a little bit about Clumio's own use case, and I know that there was a change that happened with you, so maybe we can get some more context about what was the background, and then also maybe the trigger for making a decision there.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the biggest catalyst for us was we're growing very, very quickly, right? So speed of transactions, new logo acquisition, that was very paramount for us last year, and we were hitting the throttle on just hiring new sellers. So ramp time, all of that stuff kind of coming together. And the big thing that ended up happening was because of the way our kind of agreement structure was originally put in place, sellers had to just basically slow down. Everybody in leadership was telling
Nothing
them
you ever want to do.
an out. And then sudden they have to go work through an agreement or process a renewal for an agreement that from 3 years ago that nobody in the company even knew was written at that point anymore. And everything would just come to a screeching halt. And that was not efficient at all for us. And that was really where we started to self-reflect, I think, is that the sellers aren't efficient. I mean, their primary responsibility isn't to, process orders. It's to sell at the end of the day. And this is one of those really large efficiency traps that we noticed, and we wanted to make some significant improvements upon.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
And
interested to know.
was just the thing I was going to add there, Mark. So like, you think about that, especially in, today's market, right? Very different than, it was a couple of years ago, but, truly like budget and things like that can get taken away quickly, like very quickly, right? And so it's not just the momentum that you have on a deal, but if things stall out, once you get almost to the finish line, like like that deal can be gone next week, right? And meanwhile, all you were doing was trying to like get through this kind of manual, rigid, agreement process that you have in place. So there's real dollars that can be attached to this, while maybe initial reactions can be like, that's more like that's like a legal, like thing that, isn't really gonna matter like a whole lot. Like it's just the contract, right? It's just the paper, right? Like let's just get this thing done, signed, and get someone over the finish line. But there's reasons why we have those things in place. But again, like time is truly money in today's day and age.
Yeah, time kills all deals. I mean, that's a age-old saying at that point too. I mean, we even noticed in some cases where, because our part of our product's mantra in general too is just all about simplicity, right? So simple to use, simple to consume. We could do a proof of concept and things like that with a customer, get a technical win in a handful of weeks, and it might take twice as long just to get the paperwork done previously as well than to actually get the technical win. Which is
Yep.
also kind of upside down of what should be expected.
Yep. Makes sense. So, sounds like, right, some pain that you're experiencing around uh just the contracting kind of paperwork process, right? Like taking longer than it should, right? Especially compared to some of the other things that you can do. So from Conan to Obama to The Rock, we've got, now like some approaches to call it move to agile, or to kind of shift to more agile agreements. And so I think in this case, Mark, we were going to talk specifically about Clumio's transition. And Adam, I know you kind of set the stage with like the pain that you were experiencing, and maybe talk us through like, okay, how did you go from that to to moving to, kind of current state, or moving along, right? Like taking that first step. What did that look like? How did you do that?
Sure. Yeah. So we identified the issue, and we started saying, hey, we're a SaaS company. We don't want to go try to recreate the wheel. So the next best thing would be go buy a product that'll do this for us. So that was where we started the overall evaluation. Deal Hub was obviously one of the ones that we looked at and ended up moving forward with as well. But we we had pretty firm requirements of what we were looking for. And a lot of it really did have to go with how agile things were, because the enterprises we deal with as well too on a regular basis, they change their mind every day of the week as well too. So an answer we get on one Monday might be a different answer following Monday. So that's also something where a lot of this has to go through a lot of back and forth. Even specifically too, so if I didn't mention this earlier, we're a backup company, right? So we do data protection for these large enterprises, and we're ultimately custodians of a lot of their critical data of their own customers. So there tends to be a lot of like security reviews, legal reviews, additional steps that just are part of our sales process as well. And we have a large paper process associated with this. So these are all other areas we are looking to incorporate into another tool, and just the tracking of a lot of this additional paperwork, in addition to just overall order forms and things along those lines. So as we kind of started to look at this, and then the other aspect that we'll talk about even more is we're also a usage-based model too, which also added a whole nother just dimension to a lot of what we needed out of these tools. And that was where we just had these very strict requirements of what we were looking for, and really being able to automate a lot of this and allow us to change as we're changing internally, because we do rapid iteration of our own product and how things look from one week to the next. We wanted to incorporate that throughout the whole sales process overall.
I wanted to take a step back a little bit and understand, when you were experiencing the pain that we were talking about, like what was the process in the way deals were put together or agreements were put together? You said that there was like multiple steps, different, a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
How were sellers doing that? Was there some sort of formal structure, or was it somewhat haphazard? Yeah, like what was the process there?
Yeah. So part of it was there ended up being a lot of tribal knowledge overall too, which is never a good thing. Right. Especially too, right? We're a usage business, so and we're a very sticky product as well. So a customer we acquired 5 years ago versus a customer we acquired last month, they're still both our customer, but our company was very different 5 years ago to right now. So there ended up being a lot of tribal knowledge, but no kind of centralized system. So that was ask this person who has to ask this person who has to ask this person. Oh, but that other person's out of office for the week on vacation on spring break. So we got to wait till they get back. There was a lot of that was incorporated. So that was definitely a big aspect of it. Pretty much any new seller would come in and they'd have to figure out who was the account rep before, who was the regional vice president before, who was the sales engineer before, and just try to figure out all of this extra things. Why did they do a renewal 8 months early instead of at the 12-month mark? There's just all these extra questions. Why did we do a ridiculous discount for them? Did a sales rep 4 years ago write an agreement on a cocktail napkin and now that's binding forever? A lot of that happened. And that was something that was not going to be scalable overall for our organization. But additionally, outside of that too, there's a whole sizing component that is critical to our sales process, especially on the usage-based side. And that's done out of a sizing tool in Google Sheets, basically a very robust Google Sheets, and having to translate that back to a customer in a way that they can understand and consume it, where it's really just a complex calculator, but there's only one line item we sell in the end. So there's a lot of translation as well there, that leaves room for errors as well, because everybody's not working off the same Google Sheet for all of our hundreds of customers. It's make a copy, and then do you have a copy of the latest version?
Yeah.
Did you use a version from 5 months ago on this one, and now there was a math error on it, or there was a bug? So that also led to several downstream typical issues. So that was another area that we were looking to improve upon, because that was also an efficiency waste overall.
Yeah. I'm thinking of to add one of the memes or gifs we could have added here, Mark. I'm thinking of, as Adam was talking about the tribal knowledge, I was thinking of Walter White from Breaking Bad, and someone being like, where's the documentation? And someone like Walter being like, I am the documentation, right? Like it's in my head. Like, how dare you request something like that? But to Adam's point, when you have especially like call it like legacy systems, processes, things like that, that's what you're left with, right? Things are in people's heads. Multiple versions of a spreadsheet calculator are floating around. And so the other question I had for you, Adam, obviously you talked a little bit about your solution and moving to a product to help you solve for this. But if you look at the problem space like that you all had before you got there, were you on, like you mentioned spreadsheets, you mentioned things being in people's heads. Were you on an existing like product platform or tool, or was all of that being done manually as well, and you kind of shifted to like a platform that could help you handle it? Or were you going from an existing provider to another platform and making the change that way? And how do you think about the need for that?
Yeah, so twofold, right? So we use Salesforce as our CRM. So that has some basic quoting functionality within it as well. So we would have kind of the basics there. But we're also a giant partner of AWS, and AWS has their own marketplace as well. So that's really our primary route to market, is typically through the AWS marketplace directly. So, the 90% of the time when we're going through the AWS marketplace, kind of the worldview of the rep would be, go use my crazy spreadsheet, get it into a quote, which I would then kind of take a screenshot of and put in front of in a PowerPoint that I'm then presenting to the customer to get kind of a verbal agreement on. And then from there, I'm putting that, we call it credit from a consumption standpoint, kind of that one line item, that value we're sending back to our sales ops team to then generate an AWS marketplace offer to then go to the customer at that point.
Okay.
All on the side of that, there's also MSA process as well. That was a little bit different as well, because and going back to agreements in general, that was one of the other big, challenges we had. We had some deals that were direct with an end user. We had a lot of deals that were going through a marketplace. We had others that were going through, a value-added reseller, channel partner as well too. And those are all different agreements that we had in place too. And especially for renewal processing, what was the agreement that was signed last year versus this year as we've evolved? What agreement were they on? Have we updated any of those? That even added additionally to the challenge, and that was not something we could automate with just the native tools in Salesforce. So we started with Salesforce, kind of leveraging AWS Marketplace to do a lot of the transactions, and then we're looking for a more robust platform overall.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
one of the comments, Matt, was the rock talking to us is a bit distracting. Maybe we should.
We'll take that as the cue to move on to Arnold. And so we went from kind of identifying the need, talking about the problem space. We moved on to kind of how we approach the solution. Obviously, once you get there, you need people to do things, right? Like you need people to use the tools, to follow the process, right? Like at the end of the day, technology is not going to just magically do all of the things that you want it to do. Companies are still made up of people. People still need to do things, even if it's like click buttons, enter data, right? Stuff like that. So let's talk a little bit about the adoption side of this and how you can, again, especially if you're making changes or kind of pitching this whole notion of being agile in the agreement making process. And again, whether that's updating your current processes or buying a new tool or anything in between. Adam, what are some of the things that you did on the adoption side, whether it's with rollout, continuous training, enablement, all of that stuff to support your team, right? Make sure that they actually realized all of the efficiencies and the value associated with going to this agile process and approach.
Yeah, so I think proportionally, the adoption rate is going to be much higher the more value the tool provides any seller, right? So fortunately, they went from a very cumbersome process to a very simple process, right? So they were excited to adopt it. We didn't, there was no stick involved, right? Of like follow X, Y, Z. It was very easy, I think, overall for our team to adopt, but there was a lot of building up to it as well. So part of the strategy we took was we had small cohorts do essentially beta testing for us as well. So we wanted to get buy-in from some of our more senior sellers as well, and a handful of brand new sellers as well who didn't have the comparison of kind of the old way. So our platform was going to be kind of the only way forward for them, or even comparing to prior organizations they worked through. And that got some just good general buy-in across the seller organization before we did a mass rollout. And then from there was just a lot of overall enablement, both from our leadership team, right? The RVPs, making sure they knew it. And we really ended up going down kind of a what I call a train the trainer model. So we trained our sales leaders and then told them to go train their sales team themselves. I can talk a little bit more about the enablement as well too, but part of the goal with that was we didn't want every seller's first response whenever something didn't work to go right to the operations team, right? There should have been, somebody in between as well. So if the tool's simple enough, that should have been easy enough for RVP essentially to be able to handle too.
Yeah. And how big, in this case, we're talking about the deal making process. So you got obviously like sales folks, some, kind of success or CS folks involved in that when it comes to renewals, things like that. How big was the team that was being impacted by the new process and tooling that you were rolling out?
I'd say roughly, including SCs as well, I mean, north of 50 sellers
Okay.
overall. Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, good. Like, you brought up like a good point on running the call it like some beta testing, right? So that's obviously, you're talking about large dollar amounts in terms of, new business and renewals and things that you're closing, but then you're also talking about a lot of people that are being impacted. And so good point on like, hey, a lot of risk associated with maybe whether it's a new tool or just a new process, like putting something down on paper and then being like, hey, all 50 people, like Arnold said, like do this now, right? Like this is what we do now, versus being like, hey, I think this is the way that we should do things. Let's take a handful of people, like the right mix, like you said, of new people, experienced people, and like let's kind of roll out some of these changes to them to make sure that we have, that our plan is correct, right? And we'll iterate on that, right? And so once we get to the broader rollout, we've kind of got some of those kinks already worked through, instead of basically, basically, I don't know, doing what I used to do back in the day, which is like, I'm just going to test in production and like push the button and like, boom, have it all roll out and just be like, all right, fingers crossed.
Yeah. And that was huge for us too, because we did the overall operations team, like kind of the project team for this too. Well, the RVPs were kind of training in those smaller cohorts even afterwards. The people that were responsible for the rollout, they were participating along the way too, because we did basically workshops with like use cases, test scenarios for new business, existing business, renewal and existing business upsells. And there was a lot of direct feedback we got from the sellers as well of, hey, it'd be great if the tool could also do this, or if the tool could also do that. And we implemented those by the end of that week because it was such an easy agile thing where we were able to just make those changes right on the fly, even as we were more broadly adopting it.
Yeah. I'm interested to know, we talked about kind of the before, and we're talking about the organizational adoption, but maybe we could talk about what it was that was adopting. Like what was the final kind of flow, or the final the current state, or the ideal state you were going for. Obviously we're talking about a single line item, but there's a lot of stuff around it that is required. So I'm interested to know kind of what how this all shook out, what it looked like afterwards.
Yeah, so pretty much now seller has an opportunity. And then there's a little create quote button that opens up into a new platform for them. It knows right away, too, is this a new business? And that's going to open up a couple other options for them. Is it an existing business with an upsell, or is it going to be a renewal as well? So we know automatically, and that limits kind of what they have seen and capable of. But from there, we'll just take the simple one of like new business. The spreadsheet where they're doing the crazy sizing, we actually incorporated this directly into the tool. So there's always one version of that tool that they're using. And if we roll out a new version because we found a bug in math or something along those lines, that actually invalidates their old quote as well. So I have to go update it as well. So that's a good check in place as we're doing some of those calculations. As part of that, though, too, the other thing that helps from an automation standpoint is we also know what type of overall agreement we need as well. So if it's AWS Marketplace, which is the one we use most often, it's automatically going to populate the AWS Marketplace agreement. If it's direct, that's already in place. The other big benefit we had too, which is one of the big things we were trying to also curb against, was red lines going back and forth with legal, because that always just takes forever for everybody. There's certain language we had in our original agreement that we sell credits at the end of the day from a utilization standpoint. We have the concept of rollover credits, which a lot of usage-based organizations have as well. That is usually a very common cause for contention, or give me in a deal, any of those kinds of things. But we had that in our standard agreement. So that was something where, hey, if you get this in by by the end of the month, we'll do something special for you. That resulted in us having to do red lines on a legal document, whereas we moved that language to the order form itself, where, our VP, CRO can sign off on it very rapidly that way. So there's a lot of those iterations as well, too, that really made it the ideal state for it. The other thing, too, I mentioned quickly, we were, kind of screenshotting a quote, throwing it in a PowerPoint as like the proposal back to the customer. We're actually able to now have a standardized proposal with a lot of collaboration back with our customers as well, instead of just passing something over the fence and hope they understand it. It's no secret in sales. Typically, customers, especially in an IT world, are not sellers. They're not the best sellers internally. And oftentimes we're sending over these documents and hoping they can sell as good as people who have sold for 20 years. So having a lot of that collaboration and a lot of being able to coach our champions and things like that within our account has also greatly helped too. And even just being able to share documentation internally or get additional signatures and a whole DocuSign process just tightly integrated with the overall process.
Yeah. So that kind of decision tree we're talking about, where it's like, this kind of agreement, that kind of agreement, and then, the rest of the questions. How did you come to decide the logic there? Was that over, was that kind of an automated representation of the logic you had always used, or was it kind of a shift from the way things were done before?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, right? So manual in the sense of we also needed to go along the lines of just a true MSA instead of kind of 3 agreements. So we ended up going more down the route of a true MSA, but then doing automation, meaning, so if it was AWS Marketplace, there's a field in Salesforce that you would select that as the kind of procurement mechanism, and then that would dictate the agreement when you go to create a quote. One thing that did actually happen at the 11th hour of Q4, we had a very large deal. And we thought the whole time customer was going to use AWS Marketplace. 11th hour, 11:59 on the last day of the quarter, they said, we can't go that way anymore. We want to go direct. If this was a year ago, that would have meant, well, we're pushing the deal out the quarter because, all of our legal representatives are asleep right now. But that was something where we just literally had to change one field in Salesforce and clone the quote, and we were good to go on it. And that was just how Agile we were. Just attach the new terms, and we we're golden from there.
Cool. Yeah, that's I mean, that's a huge deal, right? I mean, to be able to save a deal to have in the current quarter as opposed to pushing out, that would be I think a lot of salespeople would love that. We have a question here. I don't know, Matt, are we waiting to the end for questions, or are we taking them as we go? What's your...
No, we can take them as we go. So yeah, it looks like Raphael was asking about MSA red lines and kind of I guess maybe this is Deal Hub specific too, talking about it, like an overview on who's involved in that and how that process works within the tool that you have, Adam.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So great question there as well. So that has been, I mean, red lines, there's always tons and tons and tons of back and forth, and everybody likes to do it a little bit differently. Every legal organization from a company side likes to do it a little bit differently as well too. So there is functionality specifically within Deal Hub where you can do kind of redlining and collaborate back and forth. That works for some of our customers, but others are like, just, share a Word document version of it, and we'll just go back and forth kind of thing. So we still are able to leverage Deal Hub for that, though. There is almost like a Dropbox functionality where you can upload those documents. So then you can get the back and forth, and the legal representation can kind of focus on the red lines, but then the sales team still has full visibility of what's going on in the process overall too. And then once the red lines are finalized and agreed upon, and the deal's executed on, it pushes back to Salesforce as well for us for future record keeping. And
we talked a lot about the like the flexibility that you need on the like the contractual side, right? For like for the terms, conditions, the things that people are ultimately like signing up for, right? You mentioned like one deal, right? Being able to go from a certain type of agreement to another within a minute, and still able to get that across the finish line in a quarter. Can you talk a little bit? I know you brought up this notion of like the price calculator that you had being a usage-based business, the whole notion of rollover credits. There's a lot of complexity there that even though it results in one line item, maybe on the order form or the quote that you send out to customers, there's a lot of things behind that, right? So how you mentioned like the pricing calculator, right? Being able to move away from Google Sheets to having just like one source of truth that people would go to in validating prior quotes that were maybe based on an older calculator. Anything outside of the calculator thing when it comes to pricing and flexibility and how those things tied together for you all at Clumio?
Yeah, so there's kind of a method to the madness of how we get to that credit value as well, and that's based on capacities of we deal in like gigabytes basically. It's a translation of gigabytes to these credits that we ultimately sell, which have a dollar value
Yeah.
associated with them. And usually, if we send a quote over that just says here's 8 million Clumio credits and it's going to cost you X, here's your discount. Somebody typically goes, "What's a credit? Like, what am I getting with this?" Right?
Yeah.
So that whole sizing exercise that we do, that's part of the quote as well. The output of those capacities and all of our assumptions, those are actually on the order form as well. So we kind of show our work and show our math to get to that ultimate credit value, which really just overall helps with the conversation and the internal selling, especially dealing with procurement teams overall. Additionally, too, though, this means that our product has a rate card as well. So when you sign a contract with us today, you get today's rate card for 1 year. So it's always a 12-month thing as well. I might update a price on something, 6 months from now. So we wanted to remove the thinking from a sales rep standpoint of, okay, what rate card was around when this customer signed a deal because they need to do an upsell right now, right? They're locked into that price. The price goes up or down, they're locked into that price for a good year on that rate. So that all ties through as well. So if they do an upsell 6 months from now, we automatically know what rate card the customer had when they sign their initial contract, and that flows through as well. So that's another area where we needed to be a lot more flexible, just based on competitive pricing, some improvements we've made on our back end that make for positive cost of goods sold for us. We can adjust our price there, or just general market awareness as well too. And those are all things that we didn't want to have the sellers have to worry about that necessarily, but something that's very critical to our overall business. So we needed to incorporate it as well.
So the credit system, in essence, is similar to a currency, right? So the credits stay the same, but the value in gigabytes might change. Is that how it works?
Yes. Yep.
Interesting. And is that, how dynamic is that change? Like how often does that happen?
So not often. So the bigger challenge we had was when we first started as an organization, we didn't have a usage-based model. We were kind of more of a we deal still in gigabytes, but it was similar almost to like a per seat licensing model. It was like a per server kind of licensing model. And about 3-ish years ago was when we switched over to that consumption base. So even we had to convert a lot of our legacy customers over. But that legacy product, we had one that was very, very popular, but the list price on that was always resulting in like a 70% discount, right? Because it was something that we previously would sell kind of standalone, and that was where the market was, and everybody was discounting that similar product like 70%. However, a credit's a credit. You can use it on anything. So this thing I sold you at a 70% discount, you could then say, well, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use it for this thing that I only give every customer, the biggest customers in the world, a 10% discount on, which you're now getting at a 70% discount. So we had to like realign some of that as well too. So as we were kind of modifying our list price and trying to standardize that and our standardized discounting really across our product lines, that was also just an added challenge in all of this too, and why we were kind of updating our overall costs. We're not doing it on a daily basis by any means, but we are doing it. We did a couple kind of rapidly last year to do kind of an overall consolidation, just to get us to a general discounting threshold that we are all comfortable with across the board. Which also actually ties into deal approvals as well too, which was another big need in our overall platform rollout too. Was if one product line item's a 70% discount and everybody else in the world is like max 15%, somebody up the chain's always going to approve 70% discount because they just assume it's supposed to be that way. But so it's hard to catch the anomalies typically. and doing just standard Salesforce approval chains as well. There's not a lot of opportunity to put a lot of notes in there and any of that. So just really also allowed us to get rid of a lot of extra paperwork, headache, talking to 27 different people as we were trying to align our pricing as well to the proper deal approval flows.
Yeah, and how does that like approval, the approval workflow today look? Is there kind of a certain threshold in which there's leeway given to a seller, and then if you cross a certain threshold, it's kind of automatic, this requires approval?
Yeah, yep, that's exactly how we do it. So there's twofold here. Because number one, renewals was one of the bigger ones, right? So if I gave somebody that 70% discount, I can't take it away from them, right? No customer typically is okay with, I'll just do a 15% discount this year instead of 70, no problem. So some of the slowdown would just be renewal processing. So everything had to get approved. Well, our assumption now from an automation standpoint is if we gave a customer a 15% discount last year, we can give them a 15% discount this year without having additional approvals, right? If there are special terms, anything like that, that triggers additional approvals if we want to carry any special terms forward. But in addition to that, new business, the sellers don't have to get approval on every single quote that goes out the door. They have their own ability to have a smaller, less than 10% ability to discount, kind of just for working with the customers. And then beyond that, that's where the RVPs have their own approval floors, and then at the executive leadership level as well.
That's awesome. So yeah, I think that's a great transition into, the Borat here about what the final result was. So how implementing this new process has benefited the sellers being kind of the critical piece here. What that looks like, what kind of change it's happened, and what the benefit has been since then.
Yeah. So we've seen across the board just the efficiency go through the roof for our sellers, right? More efficient sellers means they're able to commit more business back to Clumio every quarter as well too, because they have more free time to do that. We're noticing too, and we rolled out, so we prepped this, so our Q1 starts in February. We wanted this to be ready to go February 1st as well. We actually were a little bit early on that too, so we rolled out a little bit early as well, right around the holidays there. And we've already noticed after going through our first quarter here too that a lot more deals are more accurately scoped on when they're going to close. There's not a lot of slippage involved in that. But more importantly, it really is just allowing our sellers to focus more on our customers, more on pipeline generation, and less on the day-to-day things overall. Forecasting as well for us is also improved, especially for renewals as well and upsells. That was also something very difficult for us that we're able to very clearly figure out if a customer is going to be a downsell for us and upsell what the upsell value is going to be as well, as it relates to the fact that we're a consumption business. So that was a huge benefit we were able to get out of moving in this direction too.
Super interesting. Yeah, I mean, you had mentioned the example of the kind of 12th hour, change where previously you would have had to kind of push it into the next quarter, but this way you were kind of able to regenerate a new agreement right away. Have there been any other kind of examples where it was very clear that the changes that were made had a considerable impact on the here and now, and like, wow, if had we been in the old world, this wouldn't have been possible?
I can tell you specifically that outside of our specific sellers themselves, there's a lot of other critical people in the organization who have been here for a very long time, who are the ones focused on the tribal knowledge or had a lot of the tribal knowledge. I'm one of them, who was able to also focus a lot more on bigger priority initiatives for our company too. Things like, our Gen AI initiative is a new project I'm taking up, being able to quickly onboard our sellers as well too. So those have been a lot of the ramp time reduction, even on the seller side, has also been some of the other huge benefits we've seen along the way. I'd have a better answer, I think, to that once we kind of close the books on this quarter as well too. But we've been growing very, very, very rapidly, and I know for a fact we would not have been able to grow and increase even our logo count as much as we have already so far this quarter had we not had a quick and simple process. One of the big things we invoked for this calendar year, our fiscal year, is a velocity sales motion as well. So really trying to get customers in and out the door in, call it a 1 month time frame, right? Get them consuming on the product. We don't have to do a big giant deal. Just get them consuming, and they'll love us and they'll keep consuming more. That's not something we would have been able to do in the old system by any means. It would have just taken us too much back and forth even to get the initial quote out the door for something relatively small. That at that point we might as well just try to shoot for the moon overall in the sales cycle. So this is allowing us just to more rapidly acquire more customers, more logos, and scale faster.
Yeah, that's a fantastic way to put a pin on it. I think that was a perfect encapsulation of everything, really. So I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that's great. And I think walked through really a nice evolution of kind of starting with the problem space. And I think the main thing I took away from that is like, and this is advice someone gave me way back in the day, but like, problems you have today, right? Like if they hurt, like they're not going to get any better, right? Like as you grow, like your problems aren't going to, like as you grow, your problems will not get better. As you grow, your problems will grow. So all of those pains that you were experiencing, it's like, okay, well, these aren't going to, like, again, as we grow, as we scale, as we do those things rapidly, like these things are not going to get better. They're only going to get worse. So we have a problem that is worth solving. You kind of went out and solved it with a piece of technology, a tool that could help you do a lot of different things really, really well. And it allowed you to be a lot more nimble, for you to, like you said, sell more deals, get people on your platform more quickly. It allowed you to more easily kind of manage the deal making process, allow you to pull deals into it or make sure deals stay in a quarter when they otherwise wouldn't be able to, right? Because the paperwork process would take them out. All of those things lead to, like revenue implications, like at the end of the day, like how profitable your company can be in any given period of time. So a very clear, direct tie to revenue, right? Which when you're in revenue operations, to state the obvious, like that is the impact that you can have. So yeah, Adam, thank you for walking us through kind of the real life example of all of that you saw at Clumio. Mark, thank you for joining as well and dropping some knowledge on the crew here. But that is all that I've got for you. So with that, I will let you all run. Again, Mark, Adam, thank you very much. And take care, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.
See ya.